For our last topic, we are going to discuss about writing technical reports. Technical report is a document that needs different approaches of data collection and treatment. A technical report is a formal report designed to convey technical information in a clear and easily accessible format. It is divided into sections which allow different readers to access different levels of information. When it comes to the writing of a technical report, the format is very important because it is unique from other reports in that it carries technical information. Aside from exploring it as a research problem, it also contains the following sections: background study, relevant literature, methods, materials, participants, results and discussions, and conclusions and recommendations. Background study. This section delves into the nature of the problem, the circumstances that led to the problem, and the reasons why the writer is addressing the problem through research. Here you include existing literature, current issues, and present problems and circumstances associated with the study. Then you indicate the gaps of knowledge which initiated the need for further investigation, identifying the particular one which you want to focus on. Having enough background information will provide a gist of important and relevant research studies upon which your research problem is based. Next, we have relevant literature. This section synthesizes studies that support the investigation. A review of related literature is the process of reading, collecting, and selecting books, journals, encyclopedias, magazines, and newspapers in order to be included among the facts and principles that are related to the study. In reviewing related literature, you should look for the major concepts, conclusions, theories, and arguments that underlie the work. This is difficult when you first start reading, but should become easier the more you read about the topic. You should start reviewing related literature as early as the conceptualization of the research project. In this manner, you would already be guided from the start on the definition of the research problem by noting the key variables specified in the objectives of the study. The theories that are needed to explain the research problem and used as basis in analyzing relationships between variables can be generated from the review of related literature. You should read with a purpose. You need to summarize the work you read, but you must also decide which ideas or information are important to your research so you can emphasize them, and which are less important and can be covered briefly or left out of your review. Methods, materials, participants. This section describes the different ways of collecting data and the strategies to answer research questions. Example given, we have the techniques of analysis. The method section explains the research and experiments. Also, if applicable, participants should also be described in general criteria in their selection and number. How were they selected? What criteria were used? And how many participants? Results and discussions. This section expounds on the answers to the research questions. Specifically, the results and discussion present findings from the literature, survey, interviews, or experiments, as well as online research. For most readers, this is the most important section of the report. Your readers must easily find your results in order to interpret them. Here, you straightforwardly present the results of your experiment, usually with minimal discussion. Naturally, the use of tables, graphs, and figures is especially enlightening here, as are explanations of how data were derived. Conclusions and recommendations. This section presents the generalizations drawn from the research results and discussion. In discussion, you supplied your reasoning. Now you present the exact conclusions you have arrived as they relate to your experimental objectives. Conclusions may be listed and numbered, and it should be made clear how they contribute to the understanding of the overall problem. The recommendation usually comes after the conclusion. In the recommendation, you are supposed to suggest solutions to the challenges that are there in the body. This is where your opinion is welcome. The recommendation section functions as a call to action. Having presented findings and draw conclusions from them, this section then proposes a next step because recommendations tell the reader what to do, what decision to make, what course of action to take, what solution is superior, or what further work needs to be undertaken. The presentation of your data requires organization so as not to confuse readers. Therefore, in presenting data from surveys, interviews, or experiments, non-prose text such as tables, figures, or charts may be used. Here are some tips for presenting information with non-prose text. So, we have the following: diagrams or figures, tables, bar graphs, and the non-prose text itself. Diagrams or figures, this illustrates concepts or processes. For the diagrams, you should draw simple diagrams and they should appear after or before the content you are discussing, so that the reader can be able to understand its relation. Tables. Tables are used to present numerical information. Tables are used for summary purposes. A table can help you list points and explain them in brief, which helps the reader go through everything in a brief summary. You should also number your tables for easy reference in your work. Like here in this example, we have the different colleges and the number of male and female. So this table is about students taking public transport classified according to gender and course. Line graphs. These are used to present trend over time. We have here an example of a line graph. This is the average daily allowance of students in two locations from 2007 to 2010. And next, pie charts. Pie charts are used to illustrate proportions. So in this example, these are resources used by students to answer assignment. So for the books, we have 9%, internet. For the internet, we have 32%. For other resources, 8%. Journals, 39%. And resource person, 12%. Bar graphs. Bar graphs are used to compare two or more values with certain variables. So in this example, these are the number of people using different types of public transport. Here are the different public transport. We have the private vehicles, the train, MRT or LRT, and the jeep or bus. So we can say that private vehicles, there are 55 people who are using private vehicles. For the train, we have 39. And for the jeep and bus, we have 85 people. And last, we have the non-prose text. Non-prose text gives supporting details for your text and need to be explained or interpreted. This is the table for cases of reported lost items at school. In this part, we have the different types of item, electronics, clothing, and money. So, Table 1 shows cases of reported lost items for the months of July and August 2015. For the month of July, there were 12 cases of lost electronic devices, 20 of clothing, and 10 of money. In August, there were 11 cases of electronic devices, 15 of clothing, and 8 of money. Data shows there is a decrease of cases of lost items on campus. So this is what we called as the non-prose text. So as you can see here, non-prose text needs to be located. So the labels for diagram, figures, and graphs are placed below, while in non-prose text, the labels here, the table 1, is placed on top of that. So that's all for today, and that's the end of our lesson.